Good morning, Chicago Cubs fans, and welcome back to another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. The Cubs drop the series finale to the Marlins last night, 3-1. We'll talk about that game. We'll talk about the historic Tuesday that occurred on Walk-Off Tuesday, essentially. We're also going to start discussing some of the teams that the Cubs could be negotiating trades with for players to help supplement this team. And then we're going to preview the Crosstown Classic coming up starting tomorrow at Wrigley Field. But before we get into all that, I want to say thank you to everyone who's liked the video, subscribed to the channel, and commented down below. I appreciate every single one of you guys and gals. Let me know how you guys think the season is going so far. Where do the Cubs need to improve? I want to hear everyone's thoughts. So, let's hop right into it. The Cubs dropped the series finale 3-1. The Cubs this year in finales have not had that strong of a record. And now, to be fair, in Major League Baseball, it is not easy to sweep teams. Even if you are a better ball club, it is not easy to sweep teams. They're all professional baseball players for a reason. The Cubs have an incredible record in Game 1, a pretty good record in Game 2, and then their record in Game 3s of series are not that strong so far this year. But the offense, plain and simple, just wasn't there. Jameson Taillon did his job. Again, going 5 or more innings, giving up less than 3 runs. He was disappointing himself in the sense of that he gave up too many home runs. But again, this is another one of those situations just where the Cubs offense was not there. And, I don't like it to be that black and white about the situation. Like the Cubs offense just wasn't there today. We know that the Cubs offense has the potential, but the Cubs offense just can't show up every day. They're not going to score 7 runs every single game because that's just literally impossible, especially at the professional level in baseball. So Cubs offense just didn't show up. They get another Thursday off. Every single Thursday this month, they will be off, which is absolutely, good for this team's health and recovery. Hopefully the Cubs can get Shota back at the end of the month. We'll get Ian Happ back here soon, and then the offense will be full and kicking. Now, interesting decision yesterday to start Dansby Swanson at the leadoff position. I think that was more due to a left-handed pitcher being on the mound, but I don't want to say that's the reason they only scored 1 run. No, it was just a little different look for this Cubs offense, and unfortunately, the offense just did not have it yesterday. The Marlins are going to win some games here. Even though they're not that good of a ball club, they will win games. So let's talk about how big of a win Tuesday was, though. This one clinched the series for the Cubs, essentially. Not to say that they got lackadaisical or complacent in Game 3, but, again, after an emotional win, how do we bounce back? That was the question, and we did not bounce back that strong here. But on Tuesday, there were 3 walk-off hits within 4 minutes of each other in live time, okay? Take a look at these names that hit walk-offs, ladies and gentlemen. You'll notice them, okay? Just take a look here. Javi Baez. Also, by the way, shout out to Javi Baez. Having an absolutely crazy season so far. I'm very, very happy for him. He's always been a good ball player. Just unfortunately, it just has not appeared that way. Isaac Paredes, former Cub. You see, we traded him for the guy on the graphic right there. And you know what? Why Houston wanted Mr. Paredes was for that short porch in left field because he's a dead pull hitter. And look at that. It literally led to a victory 2 minutes later at 10:20 Central Time. And then 2 minutes later, our main man, Justin Turner, hit a walk-off RBI double to give the Cubs the win. I know Tatis went yard later on for his first career walk-off, so on and so forth. Just a wild Tuesday. Within 4 minutes, baseball had 3 walk-offs. If you want to boost the sport's popularity, then that's a whole different topic. That's how you do it. Not you want to create more walk-offs, but you want to emphasize how critical walk-offs are because they're probably one of the most electric moments in all of sports. So, wild, historic Tuesday. A lot of former Cubs getting the job done for their teams, and it was just a lot of fun to watch, no doubt about it. Now, let's talk about teams the Cubs could be targeting in eventual trade rumors, okay? Now, it's May. No one's going to be trading any big-time players on their roster yet or big-time prospects quite yet. It is still very early. Teams are still, quote-unquote, in the race. and a few of these teams that are not in the race anymore, I just kind of think the Cubs are not going to do business with. Like, in particular, the Pirates, since they're within our division, they're not going to try and help out an NL Central team. Now, they did a couple decades ago by trading us a Ramos Ramirez, but again, they learned from those mistakes. They aren't going to necessarily do that. The Marlins and Nationals, I don't think the Nationals are necessarily going to be moving any pieces because they are young. They are below 500. They're only 10 games back of the NL East, but they got young, exciting pieces. They're going to be a lot more fun of a team. They're going to be like 74, 75 wins. So they think they're going to be on the cusp of getting to where they need to be. So I'm not sure how many players they're going to be trading. The Marlins, again, they're not going to win, but they're still in it technically, only 11 back of the East and even less that of the wild card. Now you got the teams like the Rockies, okay? They do not have a strong record. I'm not sure how interested I would be in any of their players. Now, they're pitching, like specifically the pitching, right? Like Kyle Freeland could become available. Again, the Cubs could maybe take him, tweak him. He pitches in Colorado. His numbers are going to be enlarged due to that situation. I'm not sure how much business the Cubs are going to want to do with the Rockies on that front. Now, if we're moving to the American League, the White Sox have been struggling. They've been solid this month so far at 500, but I'm not sure how much they're going to want to help their inner city rivals. The Orioles are 11 games below 500, but we know that their offense and their potential to get back into it is very, very much alive. And then you have the Angels at 17-25, who, they have our boy Kyle Hendricks. They have some former pitchers of ours. We don't know necessarily where they're going to be in a month or two, and then that's when the trade deadline happens, and then that's where you might be able to get a certain player to help this club out. So right now, as it sits, those are the teams that I would be looking at. The Rays are 4 games below 500. They're only 5.5 out of the NL East, so obviously they still feel like they have a chance. We do need the standings to kind of like start to separate a little bit, right? The Twins have been absolutely on fire, winning 10 games in a row. They were literally 13-20 10 days ago, or 10 games ago, 13-20, and we were targeting them for maybe Pablo Lopez. Now, they're right back in the thick of things in the AL Central. Things can change in a couple weeks in baseball. That's how intense baseball can get, ladies and gentlemen, so you gotta remain patient. Again, this is just a hot streak for the Twins. I don't know how much hotter they'll remain in this specific scenario. So, those are some of the teams that are below 500 right now. The Athletics are a game above 500. Again, that can all change in 2 weeks. They could be 10 games below, and they're going to be totally adjusting their strategy for the season. So we do need some more time to pass, but those are the teams I'm starting to key in on. Those are some of the players I'm starting to target and be like, hey, who can we get from this roster that can help this Cubs club, right? Like, for example, the Athletics. I would love for them to go on a struggling streak because you know what? Maybe they make Mason Miller available. Just a pipe dream. I know Mason Miller is going to be a tough get. He's going to require a lot of prospects. But man, would I love him to solidify the closer role because I'm sure he's got years of control available and he's got wicked, wicked stuff. So just some of those ideas that are coming out of my head early on. Nothing confirmed, nothing, looked into too deeply. Again, it's only May. We really can't do too much on that front. So we have the series of the weekend. It's the Crosstown Classic. The White Sox are coming to Wrigley Field, and it's going to be the same expectation against them as it was against the Marlins. I want to sweep. I want to sweep this team. We are significantly better than them, again, but it's all about winning the series, right? So let's take these first two. I expect tomorrow at 1:20, the Cubs will take care of business because that is what they do on first game basis here, ladies and gentlemen. They are an absolutely fantastic team in that first game. Let's take a look. Looks like we're going to have Cade Horton on the bump against possibly the White Sox All-Star, Mr. Smith, who's having a very, very good year for this White Sox club. But again, you have to think about it in the total grand spectrum, right? Even if you're a bad team, players are going to have good numbers. Someone's going to have good numbers because every team has a decent player. That's all I'm going to say. Every team has a decent player. Even the White Sox, they're going to have an all-star representative. And honestly, this Smith guy might be their all-star representative for this 2025 season. So, White Sox at Wrigley. It's going to be Cade Horton on Friday. Looks like we're going to have Boyd on Saturday. and Colin Ray to close out the series on Sunday. Should be at least 2 of 3 for the Cubs. We will see. I'm excited to watch the games. Again, I appreciate every single one of you who has hopped into the channel, hung out with us. We'll break down Game 1, preview more tomorrow on tomorrow's video. So again, I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll talk to you, ladies and gentlemen, very soon. Peace.